The message notification lit up my phone screen as I was finishing another client's tax returns at 11 p.m. Mum's group text, "Sunday dinner, big news from Camden. Vivian, bring those tuition payment forms we discussed. So proud of my baby boy." I'm Vivian, and I've been paying my brother's medical school tuition for the past 4 years. Every cent of it. My laptop screen blurred as I blinked away exhaustion. Another late night of freelance accounting work after my regular 9 to 5 at the investment firm. The stack of instant coffee cups beside me told the story of my typical Wednesday. "You coming to bed soon?" my roommate Ruby called from the hallway. "It's getting late." "Just one more return," I replied, though we both knew I'd say the same thing an hour later. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Camden. "Sis, can't wait to tell you everything Sunday. BTW, my rent's due next week. Same account?" I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. 4 years of these casual money requests. 4 years of just until I graduate turning into just until residency, turning into what next? The memory of how this all started played in my mind like a worn-out movie. Mum and Dad sitting me down right after Camden got his acceptance letter, their faces painted with that particular blend of pride and worry. "We just can't afford it," Mum had said, wringing her hands. "But he's so brilliant, Vivian. He could be such an amazing doctor." Dad had cleared his throat awkwardly. "You're so responsible with money, sweetheart. Always have been. And you're doing so well at your job." I'd agreed before they even asked. Because that's what good daughters do, right? My phone rang, startling me from the memory. It was Ruby. "I can hear you thinking from my room," she said when I picked up. "What's wrong?" "Family dinner Sunday. Mum wants me to bring tuition paperwork." "Again? Viv, you've already paid for—" "I know. And your promotion?" "I know, Ruby." There was a pause. "Want me to come with? I could fake an emergency halfway through." I laughed despite myself. "Thanks, but I'll manage. It's just dinner." After hanging up, I opened my banking app. The numbers stared back at me. My savings account barely breaking 5 figures, my investment account depleted from the last tuition payment, my retirement fund. Better not to look. My phone pinged with another message from Mom. "Don't forget the forms. Camden's so excited to discuss his future plans." Future plans. The word sat heavy in my stomach. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a folder labelled Camden Medical School. Inside were neat rows of numbers, each representing another piece of my life I'd sacrificed for my brother's dream. Tuition payments, book fees, rent checks, car insurance, all carefully documented in my accountant's handwriting. Ruby appeared in my doorway, arms crossed. "You know what your problem is?" "My inability to say no. Your inability to see how much you're worth." She walked over and closed my laptop. "Bed. Now. Whatever Sunday brings, you'll need sleep to face it." I nodded, but as I got ready for bed, Mum's text kept flashing through my mind. "Bring those forms." Like I was just the family banker, the ATM with a pulse. The next morning at work, my supervisor Fiona stopped by my desk. "Vivian, that analysis you did for the Morgan account? Brilliant work. Have you given any thought to that senior position we discussed?" I felt a familiar pang of regret. "I'm still considering it." "It would mean relocating to the Boston office," she continued, "but the salary increase would be substantial." My heart raced at the possibility. Then my phone buzzed. Another text from Camden about Sunday dinner. "I'll let you know soon," I told Fiona, but we both knew what my answer would be. It had been the same answer for 4 years. Not now, not yet, maybe next time. As I watched Fiona walk away, something shifted inside me. Maybe it was the weight of all those late nights catching up to me. Maybe it was the realization that I'd turned down 3 promotions in 4 years. Or maybe it was just time. I picked up my phone and typed a response to Camden. "Yes, I'll bring the forms on Sunday." But for the first time, I wasn't sure what I'd be signing. Ruby's words echoed in my head. "Your inability to see how much you're worth." Sunday was coming, and something told me it wouldn't be just another family dinner. Mum's pot roast filled the house with a familiar aroma as I stepped through the front door, forms tucked under my arm. The good china was out, always a sign that Camden was the focus of tonight's celebration. There's my responsible girl. Mum rushed to hug me, then immediately reached for the folder. Let's get the boring paperwork out of the way before dinner. I held onto it. Maybe we should eat first. Camden bounded down the stairs, designer watch glinting on his wrist. A graduation gift to himself he'd put on my credit card last month. Sis, wait till you hear my news. Dad emerged from his study, newspaper tucked under his arm. There's my 2 successful children, he said. But his proud smile was aimed at Camden. We gathered around the dining table, Mum's best tablecloth spread beneath steaming dishes. I noticed the wine was my favourite red, a bad sign. Mum only served my preferred wine when she wanted something. So, Camden started, barely waiting for everyone to sit. I've decided on my specialty track. Oh, honey, tell them! Mum practically bounced in her seat. Neurosurgery, he beamed. It's incredibly competitive, but Dr. Phillips says I have real potential. That's ambitious, I said carefully, calculating the extra years of training in my head. It's perfect for him, Mum interjected. My brilliant boy, saving lives. Camden nodded, helping himself to a large portion of roast. The thing is, it's going to be intense. Like, really intense. I won't have time for any side jobs during residency. The room went quiet except for the clink of silverware. I felt it coming. Actually, he continued, I'll need to focus completely on my studies. No distractions. You understand, right, Viv? I set down my fork. Understand what? Well, you've been so amazing with handling all the, practical stuff. And since you're settled in your career... Settled? The word tasted bitter. You know what I mean. You're stable, established. And it's not like you have a family to support or anything. Mum jumped in. What your brother means is that this is such an incredible opportunity, and you've always been so good with money, sweetheart. Good with money, I repeated slowly. You mean good at giving it away? Now, Vivian? Dad warned, his tone carrying that familiar, don't rock the boat edge. Camden leaned forward, his face arranged in that earnest expression he'd perfected over years of getting his way. I've been looking at apartments near the hospital. There's this perfect place. It's a bit pricey, but the location would really help with my schedule. Have you looked at the numbers? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. That's what the forms are for. Mum reached for my folder again. We can work it all out tonight. I pulled the folder closer. These aren't approval forms. What do you mean? Camden's smile faltered. I opened the folder and spread out 4 years of receipts, bank statements, and transfer records across Mum's precious tablecloth. This is everything I've paid for. Every dollar, every cent. Vivian, please, Dad started. But I cut him off. $432,000, I said. That's not including the car, the rent, or the credit cards. The silence was deafening. But that's what family does, Camden said weakly. We support each other. Support? I laughed, and the sound surprised even me. When's the last time any of you asked about my life? My dreams? Did you know I was offered a promotion last week? That's wonderful, dear, Mum said quickly. But right now, we need to focus on Camden, like always. I stood up, gathering the papers. I'm done. Done? Camden's voice cracked. What do you mean, done? I mean done. Finished. No more payments, no more support, no more putting my life on hold. You can't do this. Mum's voice rose. He's your brother. Yes, he is. And he's also an adult who can figure out his own finances. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Camden, hope you enjoyed the Last Supper. Vivian, Mum called after me. Don't you dare walk out. What will people think? I paused at the door. They'll think exactly what I should have realised years ago, that I'm not an ATM, I'm a person. The drive home was a blur. My phone exploded with messages. Mom, Dad, Camden, all demanding I come back, all insisting I was being selfish. When I walked into my apartment, Ruby took one look at my face and grabbed 2 wine glasses. That bad, huh? Actually, I said, a strange lightness in my chest. I think it was exactly what needed to happen. My phone buzzed again. Fiona this time. Still interested in that Boston position? For the first time in years, I smiled as I typed my response. Yes, Absolutely yes. The next morning, I walked into the bursar's office at Camden's medical school, my hands steady as I signed the paperwork. You want to terminate all future payments? The clerk looked up from her computer. Are you sure about this, Ms. Wade? Completely. I slid the form across the desk. And I'd like a note added to the account stating I'm no longer responsible for any charges. The student will need to make alternative arrangements immediately, she warned. That's not my concern anymore. My phone had 37 missed calls by the time I reached my office. I switched it to silent and focused on my work, but Ruby's message caught my eye. Lunch? You look like you need to talk. We met at our usual cafe, where Ruby ordered us both extra-large coffees. Spill, she demanded. I did it. I cut him off completely. Finally, Ruby practically shouted, drawing looks from nearby tables. Sorry, but seriously, it's about time. What triggered it? Remember my 29th birthday? The one where your mum turned your party into a fundraiser for Camden's medical books? I nodded. Or last Christmas, when I couldn't go on that ski trip with you because Camden needed new winter tires? Or the time... Okay, I get it, Ruby interrupted. But why now? Because I'm tired of being the family ATM. Did you know Camden spent $300 on a watch last month? On my credit card. Meanwhile, I'm eating ramen to make rent. Ruby's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and frowned. Viv, you might want to check social media. I pulled up Instagram to find Camden's latest post. Sometimes the people who should support you the most are the ones who hurt you deepest. Toxic family. Data boundaries. Chaka healing. He's playing victim, I laughed incredulously. Classic. Your mum's commenting on it too, Ruby pointed out. Praying for you, my sweet boy. Some people just don't understand family loyalty. My coffee suddenly tasted bitter. $20 says she wrote that from her house that I helped refinance last year. Back at work, Fiona called me into her office. About Boston, she started. I want it, I said firmly, if the offer still stands. It does, but it means moving in 3 weeks. Are you sure your family obligations won't be an issue? No obligations anymore. I straightened in my chair. I'm free to focus on my career. My phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. When I answered, a professional voice spoke. This is Dean Mackenzie from the medical school. Do you have a moment to discuss Camden Wade's account? I've already spoken with the bursar's office, I replied. Yes, about that. She paused. Your brother's enrollment status is now in jeopardy. He's claiming there must be some mistake. There's no mistake. I'm no longer funding his education. I see. Another pause. You should know he's been quite vocal about this situation around campus. Let me guess. He's telling everyone his cruel sister abandoned him? Something like that. The dean's tone softened. Though his version doesn't quite match our financial records. After hanging up, I opened my laptop and created a new folder. Evidence. Into it went screenshots of every transaction, every manipulative text, every guilt-tripping email from the past 4 years. Ruby appeared at my desk. Your mum's calling me now. What did she say? That I should talk some sense into you, that Camden's future is at stake. Ruby rolled her eyes. I told her I fully support your decision and hung up. My email pinged, a message from Dad. Princess, please reconsider. Your mother's beside herself. Camden's devastated. This isn't like you. That's the problem, I muttered. Everyone thinks they know exactly what I'm like. Ruby perched on my desk. Remember when you wanted to start your own consulting firm? 3 years ago, I nodded, right before Camden's first tuition payment was due. You could do it now, she pointed out. With the Boston salary. My phone buzzed again. A text from Camden. The dean called me in. They're threatening to suspend my enrollment. Is this what you wanted? To ruin my life? I showed Ruby the message. Watch how fast this becomes my fault. Let them spin it however they want, she said. You know the truth. I looked at the Boston offer letter on my screen, then at the growing folder of evidence on my desktop. For years, I'd been the family's backbone, their safety net, their silent supporter. But as I typed my acceptance email to Fiona, I realized something. Silence had been my chains, and I wasn't just breaking free, I was about to get loud. My phone lit up with another call from the dean's office. This time I smiled as I reached for it. The reckoning was just beginning. "Ms. Wade, I'll be direct." Dean Mackenzie's voice was crisp through the phone. "Your brother's tuition payment is now 2 weeks overdue. Without immediate resolution, he'll be placed on financial suspension." "I understand," I replied, keeping my voice neutral. "But as I explained to the bursar's office, I'm no longer responsible for Camden's expenses. He seems to think otherwise. He's been quite insistent that this is a temporary misunderstanding." I could imagine Camden's practice charm, his rehearsed smile. "It's not a misunderstanding, Dean Mackenzie. He's a grown man who needs to handle his own finances." After hanging up, I turned to find Fiona in my office doorway. "Ready to discuss the Boston transfer?" "Actually," she said, closing the door behind her, "I wanted to talk about the salary package. The board approved a higher offer than initially discussed." She slid a paper across my desk. The number made my eyes widen. "This is," I started. "What you're worth," Fiona finished. "What you should have been earning years ago if you hadn't kept turning down promotions." My phone buzzed. Camden calling for the 12th time today. I declined it. "When can you start?" Fiona asked. Before I could answer, my phone lit up again. Mom this time, then immediately after, Dad, then Camden again. "Family emergency?" Fiona raised an eyebrow. "No," I said firmly, silencing my phone. "Just people learning that actions have consequences." Back at my desk, I opened my email to find a message from Camden. "Sis, this isn't funny anymore. The dean says they're going to suspend me. Mum and Dad can't help. You know that. I have exams next week. Please don't ruin everything I've worked for." Everything he worked for. The word stung. Ruby appeared with coffee. "Your brother's gone nuclear on social media. Check his latest post." I pulled up Instagram to find a long, emotional post about family betrayal and navigating toxic relationships while pursuing your dreams. The comment section was filled with sympathetic responses. "He's always been good at playing victim," I muttered. "Speaking of playing," Ruby said, "did you see what your mum posted?" My mother's Facebook status read, "Heartbroken watching my son struggle because of others' selfishness. Please keep Camden in your prayers." My phone buzzed with a text from Dad. "Your mother's taking anxiety medication because of this. Is that what you wanted?" I showed Ruby the message. Funny how they never needed medication when I was working myself sick to pay their golden child's tuition. "You know what this needs?" Ruby pulled out her laptop. "Documentation." We spent the next hour organising my evidence folder, screenshots of Camden's luxury purchases using my credit card, records of my depleted savings, emails where my parents dismissed my career opportunities in favour of Camden's needs. "This is intense," Ruby said, scrolling through years of financial abuse. "Have you shown this to anyone?" "Not yet." I hesitated. "But maybe." My office phone rang. The dean again. "Ms. Wade, I apologise for calling again, but there's been a development. Your brother has submitted some concerning documentation regarding his financial independence status." My heart skipped. What kind of documentation? Forms suggesting he has independent means to fund his education. Given your recent statements, I'm concerned about their authenticity. I sat up straighter. "Dean Mackenzie, I'd be happy to provide you with detailed records of exactly who has been funding Camden's education for the past 4 years. After hanging up, I turned to Ruby. "He's trying to forge financial documents." "That's fraud," she said, eyes wide. "Yes," I replied, opening my evidence folder. "Yes, it is." My phone lit up with another call, this time from an international number. Ruby grabbed it before I could. "Hold up," she said, Googling the area code. "This is from London. Isn't that where Camden was hoping to do his residency?" A new email popped up from the dean. "Ms. Wade, given recent developments, would you be willing to provide a formal statement regarding your brother's financial history with the school?" I looked at the international number still flashing on my phone, then at the years of evidence on my screen, then at the Boston offer letter sitting on my desk. "You know," I said to Ruby, "I think it's time everyone learned exactly who's been behind Camden's success story." "You're going to do it?" Ruby asked. "Go nuclear?" "No," I replied. starting to type my response to the dean. I'm just going to tell the truth. Every single detail of it. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Camden. Please, Viv, I need you. For the first time in years. Those words didn't move me. Instead, I opened my email and began. Dear Dean Mackenzie, I appreciate your concern regarding this situation. Please allow me to provide a complete financial history. The truth, as they say, was about to set me free. The pounding on my apartment door started at 7 a.m. on Saturday. I knew it was coming. Mum's texts had grown increasingly frantic after the dean's office contacted Camden about discrepancies in his financial documentation. Vivienne, Mum's voice carried through the door. Open this door right now. Ruby emerged from her room, still in pajamas. Want me to call security? Before I could answer, I heard Dad's voice. Princess, please, we need to talk about this as a family. I opened the door to find my entire family in the hallway. Mum's mascara was smeared. Dad looked exhausted. And Camden, my perfect little brother, was pale with rage. What did you tell the dean? He demanded, pushing past me into the apartment. The truth. I closed the door behind them. Every single detail of it. You had no right. Mum's voice shook. Do you know what you've done? Actually, Ruby interrupted, laptop in hand. She had every right. Want to see the spreadsheet of exactly what Vivian's done for this family? Stay out of this, Mum snapped. No, let's show them. I nodded to Ruby, who turned the screen around. 432,000 in tuition, she began reading. 68,000 in rent, 42,000 in car payments and insurance, 12,000 in credit card debt. Stop, Camden shouted. Those were gifts. You offered to help. Gifts, I laughed. Let's talk about gifts, Camden, like the Rolex you bought yourself using my credit card, or the luxury apartment you insisted you needed for studying. You're just jealous, Mum cut in. Jealous that your brother is doing something meaningful with his life while you just push papers around. The words hit like a slap, but I stayed calm. You mean my job? The one that paid for everything on this spreadsheet? The dean is threatening to suspend me. Camden's voice cracked. The residency program in London already pulled my application. They're saying something about fraudulent financial documents? Funny how that works, I said. Actions having consequences. You vindictive bitch, he spat. Dad finally spoke up. Language, Camden. Vivian, surely we can fix this. What do you want? What do I want? I walked to my desk and pulled out a folder. I want you all to see these. I spread out papers across my coffee table. Rejected promotion letters, cancelled vacation plans, credit card statements showing Camden's extravagant spending. This one's my favourite. I pointed to a credit card bill. The day after I cancelled my therapy sessions because I couldn't afford them, Camden spent $600 at a designer store. You're destroying his future, Mum wailed. No, Ruby interjected. She's making him face reality. Reality? Camden laughed bitterly. The reality is she's trying to ruin my life because she's bitter about her own choices. My choices? I felt something snap inside. Like the choice to skip my best friend's wedding because you needed emergency textbook money, or the choice to live with a roommate at 33 because all my savings went to your tuition. We're your family, Mum pleaded. Family doesn't treat each other like ATMs, Ruby said. Nobody asked you. Mum turned on her. Actually, I said quietly, I'm asking her. To witness this moment when I tell you all, I'm moving to Boston. I've accepted a promotion, a real one, with a 6-figure salary and benefits. The silence was deafening. You can't, Camden whispered. Watch me. I handed him a stack of papers. Here's every transaction I've ever made for you, every dollar you owe me, every opportunity I gave up. We'll never be able to pay this back, Dad said, looking at the numbers. I know. I met his eyes. That's not why I'm showing you. I'm showing you so you understand exactly what you're losing. Your soul? Mum's voice dripped venom. Your family? No, I replied. Your safety net. Camden's phone buzzed. The dean's office. His face went white as he read the message. They're suspending my enrollment pending a financial investigation. Actions, I repeated softly, have consequences. Please. He looked up, tears in his eyes. I'll do anything. Just tell them it was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake, Camden. It was exploitation. And it's over. Mum grabbed her purse, hands shaking. Come on, Camden. We'll figure this out ourselves. Good luck with that, Ruby muttered. As they filed out, Dad lingered at the door. Vivienne, don't, I cut him off. Just don't. After they left, Ruby hugged me tight. You okay? My phone pinged. An email from the dean requesting a formal meeting about Camden's financial disclosures. You know what? I said, starting to type my response. For the first time in years, I really am. The truth hadn't just set me free, it had given me my life back. Your brother's gone full martyr mode, Ruby said, sliding her phone across my desk. Check his latest Instagram post. I glanced at the screen, a black and white photo of Camden in his white coat, stethoscope artfully arranged around his neck. The caption read, When those closest to you try to destroy your dreams, remember, success is the best revenge. Nudged med school struggle. Challenge resilient, jar rising above. The comments are even better, Ruby pointed out. Dozens of sympathetic responses flooded the post. Former classmates, family friends, even some of my relatives, all offering support and condemning the unnamed toxic family member trying to ruin his future. My phone rang. Dean Mackenzie again. Ms. Wade, I've reviewed the documentation you provided, she began. I must say, it's comprehensive. I'm an accountant, I replied. We keep receipts. Indeed. We've launched a formal investigation into your brother's financial disclosures. It appears he may have submitted falsified documents for his residency applications as well. I sat up straighter. What kind of documents? Claims of independent wealth, family trust funds, none of which seem to exist. She paused. We've had to notify several residency programs about potential fraud. After hanging up, I opened my laptop to find an email from an unfamiliar address. London Metropolitan Hospital's Residency Coordinator. Dear Ms. Wade, we're reaching out regarding Camden Wade's financial documentation. Ruby read over my shoulder. He tried to fake financial documents for international programs. That's not just unethical, that's illegal. Speaking of illegal, I said, opening my banking app, look what I just found. There it was. A pending transfer from my account to the medical school's bursar office, one I hadn't authorised. He still has your banking password, Ruby gasped. Not anymore. I quickly called the bank, reporting the unauthorised access and changing all my credentials. My phone buzzed with a text from Mum. Hope you're happy. Camden's meeting with the academic board tomorrow. His whole future is at stake. Before I could respond, another message popped up, this time from an old family friend. Just saw Camden's posts. How could you do this to your own brother? He worked so hard. Worked hard spending your money, maybe, Ruby muttered. I opened my email and began composing a message to Dean Mackenzie, attaching additional bank statements showing Camden's spending habits. What are you doing? Ruby asked. Making sure they have the full picture. I continued typing. If Camden wants to play victim on social media, fine. But the school should know exactly who they're dealing with. My phone lit up, Fiona calling about Boston. Your apartment's ready whenever you are, she said. The team's excited to have you start next month. Perfect timing, I replied, watching another notification pop up from the dean's office. After hanging up, I checked my email. The subject line made my heart stop. Urgent. Academic integrity investigation? Camden Wade? The dean's message was clear. Camden was being called before the academic board to address serious concerns about ethical conduct and financial misrepresentation. Ruby whistled low. That's going to leave a mark. He did this to himself, I said, but my hands shook slightly as I typed my response confirming I would attend as a witness, if needed. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. The neighbours are asking questions. Your mother can't show her face at church. Please, Princess, make this right. I showed Ruby the message. Funny how they're more worried about their reputation than their son's fraud. Speaking of reputation, Ruby pulled up a local news website. There, in the education section, was a small headline. Medical school launches investigation into student financial fraud. No names were mentioned, but the timing was clear. It's going to get worse before it gets better, I said, starting to pack up my desk. You're not having second thoughts, are you? I paused, looking at the photo frame on my desk, me at my college graduation, beaming before all this started. No, I said firmly. I'm having first thoughts. For the first time in years, I'm thinking about myself first. My email pinged one final time for the day. Camden's girlfriend. How could you betray him like this? He's your brother. He was going to propose to me after graduation. I closed my laptop, thinking about the designer watch he'd bought himself with my money, the one he'd probably planned to give her. Ready to go home? Ruby asked. Actually, I said, pulling up apartment listings in Boston. I'm ready to start looking for my new home. The next morning's headline would read, Local medical student suspended amid financial investigation. But for the first time, I didn't feel responsible for fixing someone else's mess. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is let them face the consequences of their own actions. The medical school's conference room felt colder than it should have in late spring. I sat across from the academic board, my evidence folder open in front of me, while Camden slumped in his chair at the other end of the table. Let's begin, Dean Mackenzie said, shuffling her papers. Mr. Wade, we're here to address serious concerns about financial misrepresentation and potential fraud. Mom and Dad sat behind Camden, Mum clutching her designer handbag, another gift funded by my credit card. The irony wasn't lost on me. This is all a misunderstanding, Camden started, flashing his practiced smile. My sister and I had an arrangement. An arrangement you falsified in official documents, the Dean interrupted. Ms. Wade, could you please explain the actual nature of your financial support? I opened my folder. For the past 4 years, I've paid all tuition and living expenses. Camden had no independent means of support, despite what his residency applications claimed. That's not true, Mom burst out. We helped. Mrs. Wade, Dean Mackenzie warned, please refrain from interrupting. I pulled out the bank statements. Every payment came from my accounts. I have records of every transaction, including personal expenses Camden charged without authorization. The board members passed the documents around, their expressions growing grimmer with each page. Mr. Wade, one of them spoke up, you claim to have access to a family trust fund in your London residency application. Camden's face went pale. I was going to set one up. With what money? I asked quietly. The money you took from my accounts? The room fell silent except for Mum's muffled sobs. The board has reviewed all evidence, Dean Mackenzie announced. Given the severity of these ethical violations, we have no choice but to suspend your enrollment for 1 academic year, pending further investigation. 1 year? Camden jumped up. You can't do this. I'm months from graduating. Actions have consequences, I echoed my earlier words. As we left the conference room, a young reporter from the student newspaper approached. Excuse me, could I get a comment about the academic board's decision? Before Camden could speak, I stepped forward. I think this case demonstrates the importance of integrity in medical education. Future doctors should be held to the highest ethical standards. The story broke that evening. Medical students suspended. Financial fraud raises ethics concerns. It was picked up by local news stations within hours. Back at my apartment, Ruby was packing boxes for my Boston move when my phone exploded with notifications. Your brother's girlfriend dumped him, she reported, scrolling through social media, publicly, on Instagram. How the mighty fall, I murmured, taping up another box. My phone rang. Dad again. Princess, the church committee is asking your mother to step down. Our reputation in the community is exactly as real as Camden's trust fund, I finished. After hanging up, I checked my email to find a message from Fiona. Your corner office in Boston is ready. Team can't wait to meet their new director. Ruby held up a bottle of champagne. Time to celebrate? Before I could answer, there was a knock at the door. Camden stood there, looking nothing like the polished medical student from his Instagram posts. Can we talk? He asked, his voice rough. I think we're done talking. Please, Viv, I messed up. I know that now. Now, I laughed. Not when you were forging documents. Not when you were stealing from my accounts. Not when you were playing victim on social media. I can change, he pleaded. Yes, you can, but not with my money. I started to close the door. Wait. He thrust an envelope at me. I wrote everything down, how sorry I am, what you mean to me. Please, just read it. I took the envelope but didn't open it. Goodbye, Camden. After he left, Ruby picked up another box. You okay? Better than okay. I looked around my half-packed apartment. I'm free. My phone pinged with a final email from Dean Mackenzie. Ms. Wade, thank you for your courage in coming forward. Your testimony will help establish stronger ethical guidelines for our program. I placed Camden's unopened letter in a box, labelled Passed, and sealed it shut. The next morning's headline read, Local Family's Social Standing Shaken by Medical School Scandal. Mum's church friends were already gossiping. Dad's golf buddies were suddenly too busy to play. But as I loaded the last box into my car, ready for my drive to Boston, I felt only lightness. The weight of family obligation had been replaced by something better. Self-respect. Ruby hugged me goodbye. Show them what you can do when you're not carrying everyone else. I smiled, starting the engine. I plan to. The rearview mirror showed my old life growing smaller. Ahead lay Boston, a corner office, and a future that was finally, completely my own. The Boston skyline glittered through my office window as I reviewed the latest quarterly reports. A knock on my door interrupted my concentration. Ms. Wade? My assistant poked her head in. There's someone here to see you. Says she's from your old hometown. I looked up to find a young woman, barely 20, clutching a folder similar to the one I'd carried into the bursar's office that day. I'm Sarah, she said nervously. I read about your story in the Medical Ethics Journal, about standing up to your brother and the financial fraud. I gestured for her to sit. What can I help you with? My sister's doing the same thing to me, she burst out. Making me pay for her law school, her apartment, everything. Our parents say it's my duty because I have a good job, but I'm drowning in debt. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a familiar folder. My evidence file, now used as a template for others in similar situations. First, I said, we document everything. As I helped Sarah organise her financial records, my phone lit up with a text from Ruby. Your brother's latest update. Thought you should see it. Camden's post showed him in scrubs at a small rural clinic. Starting over isn't easy, but sometimes hitting rock bottom teaches you who you really are. Grateful for this second chance as a medical assistant. Humility, Teshi growth. Looks like someone finally learned about honest work, I murmured. Director Wade? My assistant appeared again. Your investment team is ready for the presentation. I walked into the conference room where my team waited to present their analysis. As I listened to their confident voices, I remembered my own voice shaking in that medical school conference room. My phone buzzed, Mum's first message in months. The church committee asked about you. I didn't know what to say. I replied simply, try telling them the truth. After the meeting, I had lunch with my new mentor, a senior VP who'd taken me under her wing. The board's impressed with your division's performance, she said. They're talking about expanding your team. I'm thinking of starting a foundation, I told her, for siblings trapped in financial abuse situations, like Sarah this morning. Using your story to help others? She smiled. That's turning pain into purpose. Back in my office, I found an email from Dean Mackenzie. Thought you'd want to know. We've implemented new financial verification procedures. We're calling it the Wade Protocol. Your stand, change things. My assistant brought in the afternoon mail, including a thick envelope from my father. Inside was a check, partial repayment for Camden's expenses, along with a letter. Princess, I failed you. Chose peace over justice. Let your mother's enabling blind me. The money's not much, but it's a start. I'm in counselling now, learning to be better, proud of who you've become. Love, Dad. The check wasn't large, but the acknowledgement was priceless. My phone rang, Ruby FaceTiming from my old apartment. Guess who I ran into, she said. Your brother's ex-girlfriend. She's warning other women about entitled med students now. Called it her public service. I laughed, then noticed another email notification. A message from Camden's clinic supervisor requesting a reference. He's applying for a physician assistant program, the email read. Says he needs to earn his way this time. Would you be willing to share your perspective on his character development? I thought about it, then began typing. While I cannot speak to his past behavior, I believe in the power of consequences to shape character. My assistant knocked again. Sarah's back, says she's ready to stand up to her family. I looked at the young woman in my doorway, saw myself from a year ago, scared but determined. Come in, I said, clearing space on my desk. Let's talk strategy. As we worked, I glanced at the plaque on my wall, Director of Investment Strategy, and smiled at how far I'd come since those late nights doing extra accounting work to pay Camden's bills. My phone lit up with a final message for the day. From Ruby. Miss you, but proud of you. You're changing lives up there. I looked at Sarah, already stronger just from having someone validate her struggles, at my team's reports showing record growth, at Dad's letter of accountability, at Camden's slow journey toward redemption. Ready to take your life back? I asked Sarah. She straightened her shoulders, nodding. Then let's begin, I said, opening my laptop. Because the best revenge isn't just living well, it's helping others break free too. My revenge wasn't cruel, it was overdue. And its ripples were still changing lives, one story at a time.